Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to walk you through 3 exercises to improve the quality and movement of your spine. So before we crack into these exercises, I just want to make it very clear that back pain is extremely complex, and there are many people that can try and think they can pinpoint where back pain actually comes from, but in reality it's a whole lot more complex than that. Now, I've been working with a lot of clients and athletes in the past few months who have all had some form of back pain, and every single exercise I've given one of those individuals has responded differently in regards to the way that they feel with pain and inhibition. So the 3 exercises we're going to work through, the first one is a med ball T-spine cars drill. The second exercise is the Seiyun side bend. And then the last exercise we're going to be working on is a rocking chair. Okay, first exercise is seated articular rotations of the spine. We're going to be using a med ball as a constraint to help with posterior expansion of the rib cage. Now, the ball that I'm using here doesn't really matter in regards to weight. I've got a 4-kilo ball. The lighter the better. All we're using it for is a constraint. Not using it to squeeze or create a lot of tension in the upper body. You want to keep the arms long and keep everything nice and relaxed. Now, the first thing we want to do to initiate this exercise is take a nice wide stance so that you've got some room to move. Now, similar principles apply here to like the banded toe touch. We want to create some segmental movement of the spine. So I want to start with my chin down, so I'm flexing the cervical spine. I'm then rolling my shoulders forward. I'm then going to flex in between my legs as low as I can go. I'm then going to return, coming back up into extension, looking up to the roof. And then in this position, I'm then going to laterally flex over to one side where I feel a nice stretch in the obliques. Then from here, I'm going to rotate on this angle and pretty much try and draw my shoulder towards the floor and the other shoulder back. I'm then going to swoop around back into that starting position and then repeat the process on the opposite side. So that would be 1 rep. If we were to do the other side now, we would start in the same position, cervical spine through flexion, moving the thoracic and lumbar spine along for the ride, coming back up into extension, then laterally flexing, rotating again towards that side, and then swooping back around into our starting position. Now, main points of performance here, you don't want to squeeze the ball. You want to stay nice and relaxed and keep your arms long, and you don't want to hold your breath. You want to make sure that you're breathing through the exercise. I would recommend 10 reps per side just to get through this whole little sequence, which will feel fantastic for your spine to set you up for the next exercises. This is exercise number 2. It's called the Seiyun side bend. I'm not sure where I got it from, but one day I walked into the gym. I had a whole heap of pain through my obliques. I started giving it a go and it worked fantastic for me. It's now a big part of my programming for my clients and athletes. Now, all you're going to need is a thin band to do this exercise, a squat post, and then a bar in the rack. I'm going to loop this over the squat post, and I want both ends hanging here because I want to grab the band or both ends of the band in one hand. Now I'm going to push myself away from the squat post. This is essentially our starting position. As you can see, I've got the closest leg to the squat rack coming forward, and I've got the leg furthest away from the squat rack coming behind the body and sitting really far back. Now in this position, I've got my arm above my head where I've got a whole heap of flexion going on. I'm going to get a nice lat stretch. And the purpose of the bar here, as you can see, is for me to push myself away from the squat post so I can sit into that lateral hip and think about creating a really nice stretch through the obliques, the QL, and driving my hips away from the rack. Now, to initiate this exercise, I'm going to come up into flexion. I'm going to bring that back leg or that swing leg up into flexion. I'm then going to flex or laterally flex over my actual lead leg here and try and draw my elbow past my thigh. And this is going to get a really nice contraction through the obliques. I'm then going to come back up and then create a lot of expansion here, opening everything back up again, and then repeat that process, getting a nice contraction through the obliques. Now, the reason why I like this exercise is because you're actually having to work hard to create the actual flexion of the trunk here, especially with your obliques. Some exercises you don't really have to work hard. All they do is focus on length, This one you're forced to actually create a lot of tension here and get those obliques working more in a concentric fashion. Now, main points here, you want to make sure that you're really sitting into that hip and opening everything up. And then as you're coming up into the actual contraction here, you want to make sure that you're meeting both ends. I want the elbow past the thigh, and I want that thigh coming up at the same time as you're bringing that elbow past the thigh. You want to breathe in on the way down so you get a lot of expansion, and then you want to exhale on the way up in the lockout. Now, I'd recommend performing anywhere between 12 to 15 reps per side before you move into the next exercise. The last exercise is a rocking chair. So this exercise, we're going to be seated on the floor, and there's a number of ways you can do this, and it's going to be heavily dependent on how mobile you are and how much flexion you can achieve. Now, I'm fairly tight. I have very limited hip flexion and lumbar flexion. So ideally, to do this exercise, you would be able to, it would be ideal to hug these knees to your chest and be able to wrap your arms around your elbows. But if you can't achieve that, I'm just going to hold my wrist, okay? And I'm going to need a bit more external rotation because I don't have that hip flexion coming up. Now, all I'm going to do from here is take a breath in as I rock back and exhale on the way up until my feet touch the floor. Now, main point here, when you are rocking back, you do want to come back to where you're almost rolling up to your cervical spine, so the back of your head should touch the floor. And then when you're exhaling and coming back up into your starting position, your feet should touch the floor. Now, the reason why it's called a rocking chair, if you know what a rocking chair looks like, is there's not many flat spots on a rocking chair. It's like a half moon shape. And essentially what we're trying to do is get the spine to yield into the floor. So this is great if you're a grappler or you're someone who's struggling with spinal flexion or lumbar flexion. This is a great way to get you yielding into the floor, and the floor provides a constraint. So we want to breathe in, we want to rock back, exhale on the way up. And as the reps go on, you'll find that this gets a whole lot easier. The first 10 reps, it's a bit clunky. You're going to feel like a bookshelf hitting the floor. But as the reps go on, you'll start to feel like it gets a whole lot smoother and easier. Now, when you're doing this exercise, I recommend doing at least 20 reps on this because, like I said, the first 10 reps are going to feel a little bit clunky, and you'll start to notice a difference after those first 10 reps in terms of how you feel and how your body yields into the floor. Now, main points of performance here, we don't want to use too much momentum. We want to use the breath. And if you struggle getting your arms around like this, just hold your knees somewhere where you can create the flexion. The reason why we want the arms forward is so that we can create the expansion of the upper back, so that we can yield and have that nice half moon shape of the spine to be able to rock back and yield into the floor. So just to recap, guys, this exercise or this sequence is run in a tri-set. So you would start with a med ball T-spine car drills. You would repeat 10 reps per side. You would then move into the Seiyun side bend, repeating 12 to 15 reps per side, and then straight into the rocking chair for anywhere between 20 to 30 reps on that exercise. I would recommend performing 3 sets in total. I would do this daily. I would set yourself a challenge. Do this for the next 30 days. Do it before your combat sports skills sessions, do it before your gym sessions, or just do it on your days off. And I can guarantee you that your spine will start to feel a whole heap better and a lot more mobile. Now, if you guys feel like you need more help and more of a tailored approach towards your training, we have one-to-one online coaching. We also have a group set program that you can follow along for combat sports performance. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them.